My name's Danielle Procopio, and I'm your host today on Active Aging. Welcome to the show. I'm very excited. We have Brenda Williams with us today from the Brenda Williams Insurance Agency, and also from my office 985. So welcome, Miss Brenda.
Thank you.
I'm very excited to talk to you today.
Very excited to be here.
I know that you have your hands in a lot of different things, and so if we could start by you could just explain to our viewers who you are and what it is you do and a little bit about your business.
So, I've been in the insurance industry for about 15 years. The last 12 focusing mostly on life and Medicare, and the last year mostly focusing on Medicare and life on the side, but doing more of that right now.
Very good, very good. I know that you bring a lot of insight to life insurance and health insurance and how those are both going to play really important roles for all of us as we age. So I'm excited to have you here because, you know, as a provider at Shepherd, we get a lot of questions about Medicare and how it works and about the supplements and all of that good stuff. So to have an expert here today telling us exactly how all of those bits and pieces kind of work together and what's critical, I think is very valuable. So
right, and for me, it's I also have my husband on Medicare, so I'm also like seeing that side of it too. So we're navigating all of those pitfalls, and so it helps me in my business with my clients as well.
Absolutely. Personal experience sometimes is the best teacher.
Right.
So now you have that on your resume as well.
Yeah.
Very good. So I guess to get started, let's talk a little bit about Medicare. So you and I were just talking that there is a lot of confusion in the general public about Medicare versus Medicaid. So could you take a minute just to explain to us, you know, what is Medicare?
Medicare is the health care you get when you turn 65, or if you've gone on disability and you've been on disability for 2 years and there's pretty little chance you're coming off, then you get Medicare as your health care. It's a automatic thing. If you are on Social Security already when you turn 65, you will automatically get enrolled into Medicare. If you're not and you're still working, it then becomes a choice if you want to go on it or delay it.
Okay, very good. And Medicare is very different from Medicaid.
Medicaid is welfare.
Okay.
Welfare or Medicaid is what you get if you cannot support yourself, if you're under a certain income level. And there's all different degrees of Medicaid and low-income subsidy, LIS, and all those things. But that's kind of like help that you get to pay for your health care. And the unpaid Medicare.
Okay. So Medicaid, then you could be eligible at any point in your life, regardless maybe of your health status, whereas Medicare is going to be more either it's at 65, everyone at 65, or if you have some type of disability or health issue that impacts you earlier in life, you might see a Medicare benefit sooner.
Yes.
Okay, so I think that can help a lot of our viewers.
Right.
I know that we do see a lot of seniors that end up eventually going on to Medicaid as they spend their assets down to take care of themselves. So, you know, if you're in assisted living or a nursing home and you have to take some of those funds to pay your bills, then, you know, Medicaid becomes part of the package. But initially for all of us, we are guaranteed that at least right now, right?
Yeah.
We're guaranteed that Medicare benefit at 65.
Right. Yeah.
So what does Medicare cover? Tell me a little bit about the benefit.
So Medicare Part A, so there's two parts to Medicare.
Okay.
Part A covers your hospital.
Okay.
So if you go into the hospital, that's going to take care of that stay. Part B is your doctors.
Okay.
Okay, so you go to your primary care specialist, whatever, those kind of things, that part of it is covered under that area. There is Part D, which is your prescription drugs, and a lot of people don't realize that it's a mandatory thing that when you go on to Medicare, you have to get a Part D program. If you don't and you wait, you will be penalized for every month that you go without a Part D program once you've gone on to Medicare. So it is a mandatory thing.
Okay.
Part C of Medicare then is your Medicare Advantage, where you can get your A, B, and D all in one package through a private company.
Okay, very good. So there's a lot of different parts and pieces to it there.
Right.
And I know you mentioned earlier, if you're on Social Security, before you turn 65, it sounds like Medicare automatically
You will
kicks in for
automatically
you.
be enrolled, yes.
So if I'm not on Social Security, then how does someone go about enrolling in Medicare? When does that happen? When should we look for that?
So 3 months before your 65th birthday, or 3 months before you are going to enroll. So if you're still working and you're delaying it until you're 66, 67, whatever the case is. 3 months before that, you go down to the Social Security office and you sign up.
Okay.
Okay.
Easy enough.
It's easy, yeah. You can try to do it online. I think that they used to have that a while ago. I don't think they allow you to do it online any longer. But so going down to Social Security usually is the better way because people usually have so many questions about,
What's going to happen.
Right.
And when you go down to Social Security, is that when you make the choice about Part D, or is the Part D choice after we're enrolled?
So once you enroll, then once you get your card with your number, now over the past year, Medicare has taken everyone's Social Security number off of their Medicare cards. So their numbers are not.
It's not as easy to remember.
Right, and it's a convoluted number with letters and digits, and but you need to wait until you get that card before you can enroll in any of your Medicare supplement plans or drug plans or.
Okay, so once that comes, then at that point
Right.
we would be moving on.
That's why they give you they say 3 months before because that gives you plenty of time to get that card and
Absolutely.
get all your choices.
So it sounds like the earlier you go, the better. Because sometimes things take a little longer than we hope. So if you have that extra buffer time, that's
Right.
probably a good
Right.
idea. You've mentioned a couple of times delaying Medicare. You've said maybe you want to delay enrollment in Medicare. Why would someone want to delay enrollment?
Well, if they're working and they have benefits through their employer, sometimes, and it's kind of a 50-50 shoot, and you really have to look at what's better to stay on your employer coverage or go off of your employer coverage and go on to Medicare. So it depends on what type of benefits they do have through an employer and how good they are compared to what they can get on Medicare. There is a charge for Medicare Part B. Part A is free. You can sign up for that and not have, that's the hospital part, and there's no cost for that. But Part B does cost $135.50 a month. So if you're on an employer plan and you're paying $400 a month, it may be better for you to go off of that and go on to your Medicare. If you're on a plan at an employer where it's only costing you a small amount and you have really good benefits, then you might choose to stay on that plan until you leave that employer.
Is there any type of penalty for me waiting to go on Medicare?
Only if you do not have an employer plan. So if you do not have what's called credible coverage by Medicare, then if you delay taking it, it's not a penalty. If you don't have credible coverage, then you can get penalized.
Okay. So that's something to keep in mind, that you have to make sure you have the right type of coverage
Right.
to prevent that from happening. When you're saying there's a cost for Part B, how do I pay that? To who am I writing that check to, or how does
Well,
that
it's going
work?
to come right out of your Social Security check.
Perfect.
If you're not getting Social Security and, so say you are a government employee and you're, and most of those have PERS, but, or railroad, they would be actually sending you a quarterly bill, and you
Okay.
would write that check to Medicare.
Perfect. See, we're learning a lot. These are things I wasn't even aware of, so I appreciate that information. So, so we know moving forward. So we have a good understanding of Medicare. We're all going to go sign up 3 months before our 65th birthday,
right.
so we have our time. But something that has been around for a while, and I feel like we're having more and more conversations about, is the Medicare supplement. And I know that you have a lot of experience with the supplements, and there's a ton of confusion, I feel like, in the community about what is a supplement, how does it work, should I get one, shouldn't I get one? And so I'm hoping you can shed some light on that for us today. So what is a supplement?
So a supplement is what's going to, so Medicare Part B covers 80%. Okay, so they're going to pay 80% of your bill. You're responsible for the other 20. Well, that could get significant depending on what you have done. So the supplement then is there to pick up that other 20%. There are plans that have been set up by the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid, which is commonly called CMS. And so those plans are exactly identical across the board with every company. Every Plan A, Plan B, Plan C, D, E, F, whatever they are, all have to be exactly and cover the identical things. Some of them are better than others. There are a couple of plans that will be going away, and I believe it's 2020 and forward for people signing up going forward there. But most of them, depending on which one you choose, cover pretty much everything that Medicare doesn't cover. So a few of them, like Part G or Plan G, you have your Part B deductible, which is $185 that you would pick up. But so you look at those plans, and then you choose the company that you would want, and those supplements then pick up what Medicare doesn't pay.
And is there a fee for that each month?
Yes, there is a premium.
Okay.
So depending on the company and the plan you choose, you're going to pay a monthly premium to whatever insurance company you choose.
Okay, and can you give us a range on what to expect on those premiums?
They're usually somewhere between I would say $115 to $150 if you're 65 and just aging in. As you get older, those premiums will increase with your age. And when they're aging in, they have automatic acceptance to any of the supplement plans.
Okay, very good. So, so obviously, from an Advantage standpoint, you're getting that 20% that's covered. You know, you're going to have better coverage with with a plan.
Right. But it sometimes comes down to dollars and cents. They're going to pay the $135.50 just to have Medicare. That's an absolute never going to change. It could go up if Medicare raises it, but and then the premium. So they are going to pay a premium every single month, whether they go to the doctor or the hospital or not. So sometimes it becomes dollars and cents, like which plan and what does it cost and how much can I afford to pay.
Sure. Do you see any disadvantages to signing on to one of the plans to supplement?
A supplement, yes. And just as I said, they're going to pay that monthly premium every month, whether they use it or not. So sometimes then it comes down to, am I pretty healthy? If I am, and I'm only going to the doctor twice a year for a checkup, maybe I want to consider a Medicare Advantage plan in replacement of that. So the Medicare Advantage plan then replaces your Medicare A, B, and most of them D, and all in one package through a private company. So now you're paying little to no premium on a monthly basis. You're just picking up the co-pays that you would pay if you go to the doctor, you go to the hospital, or you have an x-ray, or you have certain things. And all of them have a maximum out of pocket.
Okay. So to make sure that our viewers are clear on this, so there's two different products that you can actually choose
There's two different
between.
ways you can go.
Right. You can do the supplement.
Yes.
Which you're going to continue to pay your money through your Social Security check to Medicare to have that access to Part B, and then an additional premium for your supplement.
Correct.
Or you can choose a Medicare Advantage plan.
Correct.
And the Advantage plan then, in some, I guess you could say, takes over the Medicare plan. And
it does.
And you still have Medicare, but it's now through the Advantage plan.
Correct.
Okay. Can we talk a little bit more about the Advantage plans?
Yes.
Okay.
So most Advantage plans, they have, like I said, they have copays. So you go to your primary care doctor, you're going to pay a copay. Anywhere from $0 on some of them to $10 to $15. Then you have a higher copay usually if you go to a specialist. If you go to have an x-ray, you pay a copay. And they're all a little different. Most of your Advantage plans also have additional benefits included in them. Some of them include dental, vision, hearing, and most of them do include your prescription drug plan, so you're not paying an additional premium for that either. Some of them now offer some over-the-counter benefits. So it gives you a certain amount that you can spend getting things like aspirin, Tylenol, Band-Aids, over-the-counter products that you would buy at a drugstore. But some of them now include those type of benefits. So you get a lot more with an Advantage plan that you don't get with a supplement.
And it sounds like it's a lot cleaner. I mean, as far as from a consumer standpoint, it's much easier to manage just the Advantage plan versus the Medicare, the payments to them. Then you've got your supplement. So that's a huge advantage of why you'd want an Advantage plan. But are there any disadvantages to signing on?
There are, because you do have your maximum amount of pocket. So your copays, if you go into the hospital, some of them are, they're depending on which one you choose, but they're somewhere between $300 to $350 a day for anywhere from the first 4 to 6 days, depending on which plan you choose. So if you choose a plan that's $350 a day for 1 to 6 days, and you're in the hospital for a week, you're paying that cost to the hospital. Now, you don't go in the hospital, you don't have that that cost. But some people look at that and say, if I'm in the hospital twice this year, that could be significant, even though they do have a maximum out of pocket. Sometimes the maximum out of pocket is not as much or is more than if they were to pay the premium on a supplement.
Right.
So everyone, it's kind of an individual choice on how much of the risk they want to take on themselves. Some people just want to pay that supplement premium and know that if they go in the hospital, whatever they do, it's all going to get paid for. Other people are like, you know what, I'd rather keep the money in my bank account, and then if I need it, I'll pay it.
Absolutely.
So it's a personal choice.
And it's something, too, that I want to make sure our viewers keep in mind is that when you make that decision to go with the Advantage plan and it replaces your traditional Medicare, it's treated like a traditional insurance. So whereas with Medicare, pretty much everyone takes Medicare.
Right.
But once you sign on with whatever company you choose, you're then limited by their network.
Right. There are networks with every company, and there is a difference between what's called a PPO network and an HMO network. So with your PPO networks, you have what are called preferred provider organizations. And if you use a PPO doctor, then you pay less than if you go outside of your network and use a doctor outside your PPO. With an HMO, most of them have no coverage outside of their HMO network. So that's another consideration when you're looking at a company or you're looking at, which way you want to go.
And I love that you're so knowledgeable on all of this. So I know we're going to mention this again, but I really want to encourage our viewers to reach out to you if they have questions about the plan. So if ever, as we're watching, if people are thinking, I need to talk to Brenda, how do they reach you, Brenda?
Well, you can reach me by phone.
Okay.
I can give you my phone number.
Sure, and that number is?
330-718-0166.
I'll ask you a couple of times.
Okay,
so
and I have a Facebook page, I have a website, and so it's pretty easy to track me down.
And what is your website?
It is bwilliamsinsuranceagency.com.
Perfect. Okay.
Pretty easy.
So if people have questions, they can call you.
Yes.
I do have one more question about the Medicare Advantage plan. Once I select a plan, so whatever company it is I choose, am I able to switch the plan later, or am I locked into that selection until the end of time?
No. So every year, the Advantage plans adjust their plans. Sometimes they add stuff, sometimes they adjust it, sometimes they take benefits away. But every year, starting October 15th to December 7th, is what's called the annual election period. So during that time, beneficiaries have the opportunity to look at what's out there.
Perfect.
Do I want to stay on the plan I'm on? Do I like the new benefits? Do I not like anything that's changed? And so I encourage everyone to get with your agent, get with someone who's knowledgeable, and look at what are the changes that have been made on the plan that you're on. Is there something that you can change to that's better? It is an enrollment, so there are no health questions asked other than, are you in if you're in a nursing facility, if you have end-stage renal failure, those kind of things will knock you out of being on a Medicare Advantage plan. But as long as you are not under those couple of qualifications, then you want to just look at, and you can make those adjustments. So every January 1st, you could start on a new plan if you chose to.
Yeah, and that's great that then as our life circumstances change, so maybe I was one of those who said, let's keep my money in the bank, and then I developed diabetes or a heart condition, then I'll have the ability at the end of the year to make that change.
Well, I will caution you with, so when you're aging into Medicare at age 65, you have automatic acceptance into a supplement plan. If you don't, and you delay that, and you say, I go with an Advantage plan, and later on decide that, oh, my health is getting really bad, I want to now go on a supplement, they will underwrite you, which means that they're going to look at your health.
Sure.
And they're going to decide, do we want to take this person on, or do we not? They may take them on and charge them a higher premium than what the actual,
So there's a lot of variables. So we really need to talk to an agent and with our specific circumstances rather
Exactly.
than
It's
try to
very
figure it out on our own. So.
Yes. It's very individual, yes.
Very good. Okay. So we've spent a lot of time talking about our friends that are 65 and over, but I know that there are a lot of us that are under the age of 65 that are starting to plan for retirement. We're trying to figure out, can I stop working before 65? Maybe, I started working earlier, whatever my situation is. So what are some of the options, Brenda, that we have for those that are aging but aren't quite 65 yet?
So, right, that's kind of a big, hairy mess. And, a bunch of years ago, we all know about the Affordable Care Act, or what's commonly called Obamacare. That is one of the single places that people can go to get traditional health care if you do not have employer coverage. It is very, it can be very expensive depending on what type of plan that you want. The copays are very high. But depending on your income, you can get help in paying those premiums.
Okay.
Now, but what's becoming very big in the industry are things that are not traditional health insurance that are called health share plans.
Okay.
And they are not insurance. They are, in my opinion, what the purest form of insurance was originally designed as. Everybody pays some money in, there's a claim that comes in, they go to your share amount first. If you exhaust that, then they go to the general population of people that are members, and they share your bill with everyone else. It's not like they come and ask you, hey, do you want to pay this? It's just, it all happens internally. But it was I believe the original form of insurance when it was created was designed to do. It's not so much now, but so the health share plans are becoming very big, and those are a really good option. And there are some different types of those out there. Most of them are Christian-based, so you have to agree to some of their Christian values and things, right?
Okay.
So
very good. It's good to know there's other options, and you do have one of those plans available. So if we have some interest in that, then our viewers can contact you and find out more.
I do.
Very good. Well, I know that we've spent a lot of time talking about health insurance, but you also do a lot with life insurance.
I do.
And you and I had a conversation last week about how a lot of people don't realize how much life insurance they need, and there's a lot of different products that are out there, a lot of different ways to get life insurance. So I just wanted to make sure we spent a couple minutes talking about life insurance and why do we need it, Brenda? Why do I need life insurance?
Well, basically, if you have a family, your husband and wife, and maybe some small children, if one parent does not come home tonight, where does that income come from?
Right.
Now, there is Social Security. Everybody, most people, when they, work, Social Security comes out of their, they pay their FICA, their, taxes. But that generally is not enough to replace the income of that spouse that or that parent that didn't come home that night. So we look at what is it going to take? How much is it going to take to replace that person's income? Now, a lot of people don't realize that if you are a couple and you have no children, because that's happening quite a bit now.
Sure.
Some couples are just choosing not to have children, or your children are out of the house. And a lot of people had children when they were young, so they're maybe in their late 40s when
their situation is very different now.
Right. And so if you do not have a child under the age of 16 and you're under the age of 60 and lose a spouse, there is no Social Security benefit for that spouse.
Oh, wow.
It's called the blackout period. And so that becomes a huge reason to have life insurance, because where are you going to get? How are you going to replace that spouse's income?
Right.
Because most people, let's face it, are two-income households, and they spend every penny that comes in.
Right.
So if you take half of the income out of that household, now what happens?
Yeah. And if you go through something like losing a spouse or a parent or a loved one, that is enough grief and that is enough hardship. And so I think that having these conversations now while we're here and we're healthy and really thinking about how much money do we need to sustain our lifestyle, or just to sustain, really. Right. Those conversations are critical, because then at least you have that benefit that is going to help you through something so terrible.
Right.
And so, I think that it's important that we do have those conversations and think about the different places we are in our lives and how much insurance do we need. And there's a lot of different options out there, I know, for insurance, and those can change as we age as well.
Right, and it's not like you have to get one policy. You can have multiple. So you might need to have a little bit of whole life, which is going to stay with you. And it's a little more costly because that is the type of insurance that's going to stay with you until you die. There is something called term, which is going to cover a specific period of time. And at the end of that term, it goes away, but it's less costly, and you get larger amounts. So that's the kind of insurance you want to cover while your children are young, or while you have a mortgage in place that you want to get paid off, or whatever the case is. And again, it's all very individualized, and so you can put a multiple types of policies together to give the coverage that fit the budget for the person that is looking for their insurance.
Yeah, and I think you said a key word. Everything's very individualized, and so I think for us to get a lot of answers specifically, we have to come talk to you. And we only have about 3 minutes left. So one of the questions that I wanted to make sure that we talk about all of the products that you're representing is, when I'm looking for an insurance plan, whether it's life insurance or a supplement or an advantage plan or health insurance, what are some of the things we need to be aware of? Because there are a lot of insurance agents out there, and unfortunately, we hear a lot of stories about, people maybe not selling what it sounds like. And so, specifically with our seniors getting into some trouble. And so what are some of the things that you can tell us, Brenda, to look out for so that when we are talking with an agent and we're purchasing these products, we know we're safe? Well,
the first thing I could say is educate yourself, because that's how I work with my clients. I'm huge on educating them. The last thing I want to hear is, why did you buy this amount of insurance? Well, that's because that's what the insurance person told me I needed. Know what you have. Know why you have it. Because as things change in your life, you may have to adjust those. Find someone that you feel that you trust. If you get any kind of little, that doesn't sound quite right, get a second opinion. Go to someone else and ask those same questions, because let's face it, in every industry there are people that are honest and there are people that aren't. And there are people that are out there just to sell a product, and there are people that really want to help. And I would say educating themselves would be number one, so that whatever that insurance person is telling them, they have some idea of what they're hearing.
Yeah, and I think that's important, that we make sure that we ask multiple people. Sometimes, like, you're my friend, Brenda, so I feel like I have to buy my insurance from you. But if it's important to talk to multiple people to check out that information is good. And the other thing too is specifically to Medicare. Medicare provides a lot of resources for free that you can go ahead and you can get from their website, or you can call their 800 number, and they'll send copies out to the home that explains the benefit in very easy language to understand. When I got into healthcare, that was the first place I went to kind of learn about Medicare, so that I could understand it and explain it to others. So I think that CMS does a great job of putting a lot of resources out there as a good starting point for us too. So I know that we've run out of time, and we talked about so much, and I just want to make sure that we plug My Office 985 real fast for you before we go.
Oh, thank you. Well, My Office 985 is a temporary office space that is new to the Youngstown area in the last year. And what we do is we rent office space for as short as a 4-hour period. If you need somewhere to go to have a conference, a meeting, we have a small conference room that'll hold about 15 people. It's a little more intimate and secure. It's all digital, so that you have access to the building. I don't have to be there, come in and out. We offer coffee, tea, and water complimentary with your rental. We have secure internet, and it's a great place to go work and have meetings, or
It sounds perfect. We'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you for joining us today, Brenda. Please reach out to Brenda, get your questions answered about insurance, whether it be health or life, if you have questions about Social Security, and she would love to help you out. So thank you, Brenda. We appreciate having you today.
Thank you so much.
Until next month, have a wonderful day.